Be advised that the views and opinions of the hosts and guests do not reflect those of the station.
Since touching down in Manila on Friday, the Gift of the Givers has been busy with logistical arrangements for the Philippine mission. They've been working closely with authorities here, coordinating with other rescue teams and preparing to reach out to some of the more than 13 million people affected. Some supplies have been brought in from South Africa, but food and medical items have been bought here. These are critical to the team's trip to Leyte in a few days' time, where in some cases they will be the first relief workers to arrive since the tragedy. The communities of Palampam and Isabel are also still searching for missing loved ones.
These are coastal towns, and I will be asking the Coast Guard if they can allow our highly trained rescuers to join in their retrieval operations. There are dead bodies floating in the ocean.
Infrastructure in many areas has been destroyed, and where roads are impossible, air and sea transport will be used. The Gift of the Givers will be one of 3 groups leaving Manila soon to head to the southern areas of the Philippines. They've been warned of the devastation and suffering that await, but they're focused intently on contributing to the collective rescue mission. Desantathia, Manila, Philippines.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Philippines Uncut. I am your host, Buddy Kunana. Now, this show we talk about everything in sun, and tonight we're going to talk about hope. This evening's show is our year-end show as we're rounding the days to December 25th, or Christmas Day. And, you know, this year has been a tough year for the Philippines. We've been beset with multiple crises and catastrophes, the worst of which was Typhoon Yolanda, which devastated large parts of the Visayan region. And, you know, as they say, in every cloud, dark cloud, there is a silver lining. And the silver lining in this catastrophe was the hope, friendship, the love and compassion which was shared by the international community and fellow Filipinos all came together to help alleviate the problem in Visayas and to help rebuild and rescue and reconstruct. And joining us are 2 gentlemen who will shed light and talk to us about these beautiful initiatives, specifically from South Africa, the Philippines, and Georgia. Joining us is, on my right, Dr. Rodrigo Ong, who came out in that video we saw earlier, and he is the medical director of Rescue 926 Incorporated and also a member of Philippine Coast Guard Auxiliary. Beside him is Mr. Norman Camongol. He's the education and economic director of the honorary Georgian consulate here in the Philippines. So, guys, welcome to Philippines Uncut. Dr. Ong, Mr. Camongol, and it's a pleasure to have you here. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for having us.
Yes. You know, as I mentioned in my opening spiel, you know, very optimistic to do this show now because, you know, it's been such bad news for the country. We had the Bohol earthquake. Before that, we had, you know, storms again, and now with this Yolanda hitting us, and so we want to focus now on this endeavor that you guys have put together, and very, very hopeful, very inspirational. Now, let's begin first with some introductions. Let's start with Mr. Camongol. Norman, please tell us about yourself and the organization you represent.
All right. I am the Economics and Education Director with the Honorary Consulate of Georgia, which is based in Baguio City. We have a satellite office here in Ortigas Center. Now, of course, we represent the country of the Republic of Georgia here. Now, with regard to the efforts that were being done with regards to Typhoon Yolanda, our consulate, along with the consul of the Philippines in South Africa, Stephen Chemowitz, got in touch with this foundation called Gift of the Givers. And that was, what, 2 or 3 days, just after 2 or 3 days after the typhoon hit. And 1 week after the typhoon hit, Gift of the Givers arrived in the Philippines, and we were able to connect with Dr. Ong.
Yeah. Let's go back first to your organization, the Honorary Consulate of Georgia. Now, you don't represent, I mean, this is not the embassy, this is a consulate.
This is consulate.
So, and you said you're the economics and education director. What does it mean exactly? What is your, what are your main activities?
Okay, with economics, we are basically trying to, or looking for ways to look for partnerships with both Philippine and Georgian business interests, tying them together, finding ways of cooperation, business cooperation, business prospects, opportunities in both countries.
Yes.
Right? So we've had the chance to meet up with some businesses both on the Philippine side as well as on the Georgian side, and see any mutual trade that can be done with both countries.
And on the education front?
And the education front, we have agreements with business schools here in the Philippines, like
for like a tie-up with the schools in Georgia.
Lyceum, the university,
Yes.
Lyceum University of the Philippines,
Yes, yes.
and the San Sebastian Recoletos.
Okay.
We were able to tie them up with the University of the Caucasus in Georgia.
Interesting.
So they are going to have exchange programs for faculty first, and then exchange programs for students later.
Okay. Now, interesting, you mentioned that you're based in Baguio, because I love Baguio. It's a second home to me. And my question is, why Baguio? I mean, is it difficult for you to do all these activities, and I assume it's a nationwide scope as well?
Well, buddy, with the internet right now, I mean, it's not a problem to get everything done from one location.
Yeah.
We can reach the entire country from one area. Baguio, on the other hand, is the hub of intensive business activities in the northern Philippines. So it's from the economics point of view, it's logical to be in the center of things. So
Excellent, excellent. Now, Dr. Ong, let's talk about you. I introduced you as the medical director of Rescue 926 and a member of the Philippine Coast Guard Auxiliary. Now, tell us a bit about your involvement with these organizations.
Yeah. Rescue 926 is a volunteer rescue organization. We have doctors and trained EMTs, or emergency medical technicians, or paramedics in that team. Our vision and mission is to be within the disaster zone within 48 to 72 hours, or even while the disaster is ongoing. So we have with us able-bodied personnel to help out, to assist in the recovery and relief efforts.
Yes.
Now, the 161st Squadron of the Philippine Coast Guard Auxiliary, where I am the squadron commander, is an arm of the Philippine Coast Guard. It's such that it assists the Coast Guard in its mandate to protect the coastal areas, the seas, and the marine life of the Philippines. The Rescue 926 is a division
Of the
of the
161st.
161st. So it is connected. It's like brothers working hand in hand towards assisting the Coast Guard in their rescue, search and rescue efforts during disasters.
What kind of aid does the Coast Guard give you guys? Let's say they provide vehicles or vessels, or what do they?
Yes.
How do you guys work together in that sense?
So we have the manpower through Rescue 926, and we have the partnership with the Coast Guard, who can provide us with further manpower, like Coast Guardsmen, Coast Guard doctors, soldiers from the Coast Guard who could provide us security. But more than that, we have access to their vessels, their trucks, their vehicles, so we can enter any part of the Philippines, which is an archipelago. We can enter through any port and assist in any areas which are hit by earthquakes or storms.
Are there many? You said Rescue 926 is embedded in your squadron, the 161st Squadron. Are there many NGOs like this embedded in Coast Guard squadrons? Are you the only? Is Rescue 926 the only one?
I believe there are others,
Okay.
but I believe we are the one of the only ones who are active in participating in Coast Guard activities in times of disasters.
Okay.
There are others who focus on the rehabilitation of coral reef, the cleanup of
Coastal cleanup and things like
spills,
that. Yeah.
etc. But
Yep.
our strength is really in the response during disasters.
Now, interesting name. Before we move on to our main topic, Rescue 926. Usually you hear Rescue 911.
Yes.
What is the significance of 926?
926 is September 26th when Typhoon Ondoy hit the Philippines.
Okay.
So after
Okay,
Ondoy, a group of people immediately came together so we can help out other people during that kind of disaster crisis. So since then, we have been training volunteers. Once they're trained, they can join us during our missions.
Yes, yes, interesting. Now, Mr. Kamunggol, like, okay, you guys are the honorary consul of Georgia. Why did you get involved? I mean, with the Philippine group, and now South Africa, and now people are gonna wonder, where did Georgia come from?
Okay.
Like out of nowhere, and then woof, here's Georgia. How come?
Well, first and foremost, because we see the disaster. Okay, first of all, we see the disaster on television. It just doesn't make sense for us to be on the sidelines.
To do nothing.
Yes. Okay. Second, we already have. We were able to get in touch with our with Stephen Cham, who's in South Africa, and he was able to offer the gift of the givers. So we got in touch with Gift the Givers and got in touch also. They got in touch with Dr. Ong,
Yes.
and that started the ball rolling.
Yes, yeah. So really, it's a synergy coming together. You know, the Philippine side, and then even the gift of this group, the Gift of the Givers, through the network of
Right.
that you have in your office.
Even if it's another country.
Even if it's another country,
If
another
it's another-
continent.
yeah.
Yes, I guess that's what I mean when I said, you know, people from all over the world coming together, and come from different backgrounds, different nationalities, and come together just to help out.
Right.
No. Now, Dr. Ong, this Gift of the Givers, what kind of organization is this?
All right. When they arrived in Manila,
Yeah.
I immediately spoke with Dr. Ahmed, who's our team leader, and he gave me some insights about the Gift of the Givers Foundation. It is founded by Dr. Suleiman in South Africa, and is the largest humanitarian organization in Africa. In fact, they have been into many combat theaters, disaster areas. They've been to Haiti, Syria,
Wow.
Somalia.
Wow.
They've been to Gaza Strip, helping out war-torn countries, countries struck by famine. So, and with them, they have this immense network of manpower, from doctors, nurses, engineers,
Wow.
architects, who are volunteers to help out in any part of the world. And then we were
Like
fortunate.
on call.
On
like,
call,
yeah.
yes.
Wow.
I was fortunate to have the call from the consulate of Georgia. To within 2 days of our planning.
Yes.
Originally, we had planned to go to Leyte with
right. You already-
10
yeah.
people. So we had 2, 3 doctors, and the rest will be rescuers and EMTs who were scratching our heads. How will we do this?
You were already planning it.
We were already
You were already planning when
Yeah, with this much resources.
the consulate came in.
And then the consulate came in, just like a drop of fresh air. We had our solution. So
Amazing.
we waited for Dr. Ahmed to come in with his team. Immediately we went into the briefing which you saw a while
Yes, I
ago.
saw on the video, we saw people unloading
Yes.
supplies. Now, what
Yes.
was that scene we saw earlier? We saw people they seemed to be carrying boxes and unloading things. We saw many people, you know, different people there. Obviously, these are from the Gift of the Givers. But what was that scene when they were unloading boxes into a building? That wasn't in Leyte, no? That was here in
This is
Manila.
in Manila.
Yeah.
When they arrived in Manila, I was surprised. They brought with them 4 tons of relief goods and medical equipment, which I did not expect. 4 tons. And what you saw a while ago was the relief goods bought in South Africa to be delivered directly to Polompon, Leyte, and what you did not see were the huge black boxes containing medicines, containing equipment, medical equipment, which can be used in the disaster zone.
Wow.
They have tents wherein they can do surgeries
Wow.
inside those tents.
Like you can have an operating theater.
Yes, right in the middle of the field.
In the middle of the field.
Yes,
They had that.
They have that.
No, Doctor, I have a question. You being with the Coast Guard Squadron of Auxiliary and Rescue 926, are we in the Philippines, is there any organization at all that is equipped like that? Like, you know, with all this, it sounds pretty impressive, huh? Like mobile operating theaters and all this high-tech stuff that I'm sure the South Africans brought. Do we have that kind of...
We don't have that kind of
Yeah.
capabilities ourselves. I've seen the United Nations groups have that kind of operation, but not as extensive and not as focused as the Gift the Givers.
Wow.
It seemed like they had their homework done, the research
Amazing.
done
Amazing.
before they even came in, because they knew what to bring. They knew what
They
to
know
bring.
their stuff. They
Yeah.
know their stuff.
And furthermore, when they came over, they told me that there's a second group of specialists, ophthalmologists, cardiologists, anesthesiologists, surgeons, who are ready to fly to the Philippines if we assess the need for such.
So wait, how many batches of Gift of the Givers came to the Philippines?
We have 2 batches.
Okay.
The first was a group of 40, around 5 doctors, 2 trauma nurses, highly specialized trauma nurses, and level 3 paramedics, the
Yes.
highest level of in paramedic training.
Okay.
Total of 40. And the second batch, I believe, is around 20, 25. These are all doctors now.
So total about, almost 50, 40 to
Almost
50.
50,
Almost
60,
50.
together with the local team.
And,
yes.
and how many local guys, local personnel participate in this?
10.
So 10,
10 from my group.
10 from your group and then 40 from the
From
South
South
Africans. Well, I mean, we're good hosts here in the Philippines, and I'm sure that you guys really, integrated well with our South African brothers and sisters. huh?
Yes, we had a singular goal,
Yeah.
and our hearts were really in the same place. So that made the coordination very, very smooth and very, very coherent.
Now, Norma, I understand that you have a very interesting story to tell us about how this group, when they arrived, they had to buy a lot of things locally. I mean, not as Dr. Ong said, they brought in a lot of stuff.
That's correct.
I mean, with them, but they also had to buy stuff here.
Yes.
So tell us about that.
Well, yeah. On the second day, they arrived Friday night. On Saturday, they usually went to the malls and bought canned goods.
Yeah.
There's a story there where Dr. Ahmed actually bought a lot of these canned goods, and just before they left the mall, they forgot to buy can openers. so
that can be difficult, huh?
yeah, that was difficult.
Although
I
in the
mean,
Philippines you can open a can with a knife, but
they're supposed to be high tech, so can openers are high tech. So they bought a lot of not just relief goods like food, but they bought tents, they bought gas burners, because one of the things that were needed were cooking utensils, cooking paraphernalia. There's nothing to cook with, so to speak.
Yes.
So they needed that.
Yes.
And of course the lights as well.
So I mean,
torches.
I assume you went. If you said you went to SM Magawali, I'm sure you went. I assume you went to Ace Hardware. So it must have been quite a scene, going to Ace and like,
Oh, yeah.
give me this, like.
It's not only that. The story there was these guys, South African guys, they were buying things. As soon as people heard, ordinary Filipinos, they didn't know these guys from whoever. They didn't know these guys, and as soon as they found out they were going to help out, they just approached these guys and just shook their hands, said thank you for helping. And Dr. Ahmed was telling me all of these because he met a lot of people that way, people he didn't know, and people who didn't know him. They only knew that he was going to help. They just said thank you. And he was telling me this, and he was just so happy about it. And he told me that he never experienced this thing in other areas, but
just the outpouring of gratitude. And
yes.
How about you, Dr. Ong? I mean, this group came here, and do you have similar experiences like that? Like, what was the reaction to the South Africans arriving? I mean, I can't recall if there was ever any other African group or a South African group has ever come here to help out in this manner.
Yes, when they came in, the experience, unusual experience we had was in the airports.
Okay.
So we had this huge contingent of South Africans at Mactan Air Base, for example, in Cebu. And we saw the Swedish Air Force, we saw the Indonesian guys, it's a multinational convention. But the South Africans were the largest, with all the rescuers there. And they were all impressed, even the other countries. They were all impressed on how the South Africans would just go to the Philippines to help out, and then bringing with them all these goods at a moment's notice.
For sure.
At a moment's notice. But we also had to rely on other items like transportation. That's why we had to go to the airport, to Mactan Air Base, and then later on to the ports where we had an 8-hour journey over rough open seas.
Wow.
So Now that was a story.
No, we're going to hold that thought
Okay.
because you have the pause for break. But guys, more of the international response to Yolanda when Philippines Uncut returns.